Welcome back, Patriots, for a Friday episode of The Bald Brad Show. It is officially February 21st. We have now moved into Donald Trump's second month in office. And we say this every morning. He is, by far, not even close, the best president in modern history. The left will never admit it because they can't even admit that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. But hey, we will admit truth here. We will bring truth back to being truthful. I had nothing there. I really didn't. It's early on in the morning, but it's good to see you. And it is a Friday episode, which means we get to be more relaxed, a little bit more unprofessional, and spend a little bit more time in the chat with all of you while we go over different aspects of the news heading into the weekend. Now, a lot of people have been asking here or there, not just sometimes in the comment section, but also via email, why is the Friday show more relaxed? Well, traditionally, the news cycle kind of kicks off Tuesday and ends Thursday. They'll do a news dump on a Friday because nobody really pays attention to the news over the weekend. And then it will kind of kick off again Monday heading into Tuesday. So that's why Friday has traditionally been just more of a relaxed episode, because they're just throwing a bunch of stuff, a bunch of news out there. We also will grab news that we weren't able to get to at the beginning of the week. So that's why if some people are curious. But what's going on, Lulu? We got Dan in here, Angel, Steven, Lily, Jerry. Always good to see Jerry. Danielle, Q, Lily B. Is that champagne? That sounds nice. Debbie. And from Arizona. Good morning from Arizona. Heck yeah. We got Dizzy, Pat, Karen, Drag, Hans. Damn it, I always messed it up. It's morning. It's tiny. I'm sorry. That's what she said. Shroba. It's good to see everybody. You guys are talking about the hockey game. Yeah, we lost last night in OT, and it is America's fault. I don't want to get too hockey IQ on you, but when you have three Americans that are all hyper-focused on one guy, it turns out you're going to leave one of the best players in the world, meaning Connor McDavid, right in the slot for a shot up against a goaltender. So that's the highest percentage shot rate in terms of scoring where Connor McDavid was. There's no higher opportunity on the ice, just a heads up to give you some kind of hockey knowledge. So it makes sense why he scored. It would have been very low odds if he would have missed. So that was our oopsie, and we paid the price for it. Well, let's hop into a little bit of the news here. Good morning, FKR. That's an insane username. We have here fear of U.S. military action against cartels, as there should be. Mexico moves to reinforce sovereignty laws. I actually want to break this down and see really what's going on here, because as you know, Donald Trump is already using Reaper drones to track cartels throughout Mexico who have been deemed terrorist organizations. Now, that is an elevation of where they were at because Joe Biden didn't have a nutsack. And if he did, well, his wife was holding on to it, or maybe Barack Obama. Donald Trump designated them as terrorist organizations because now if you do any sort of interaction with them, the escalation of penalty for you throughout the law is elevated a lot higher. And so it hopefully will help things out here. And it gives Donald Trump a little bit more access to use military to go after these guys. And they're not good guys. I know the media says that we're not allowed to call them animals. Remember when Donald Trump called MS-13 violent gang members animals? They are. They legitimately behead people, use their heads as soup and cereal bowls, and they wear your teeth as necklaces. I would say it's pretty barbaric and pretty animalistic. So Donald Trump's right, but the media wants to rub the shoulders of terrorists and do some weird stuff. You know what I mean? They're constantly doing weird things like that. Well, Mexican President Claudia, what's her name? Sheinbaum? Doesn't matter. Promised or proposed constitutional reforms to safeguard, let me just scroll this up, here we go, Mexico's sovereignty after the Trump administration designated 6 drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, prompting concerns about political U.S. military action across the border. This is what we've been saying, and I've been hoping for it. I said this the other day, right? What if Trump dropped bombs? Big boom booms like Joey's diaper. I think he should. The Mexican president will not accept, under any circumstances, interventions, interference, or any other act from abroad that could be harmful to the integrity, independence, and sovereignty of the nation. I told you they've gone so long thinking they got big cojones. This is all talk. It's funny because it's not like she looks like she's a scary person. She's surrounded by two grown-ass men here. You know what I mean? Like, Trump is a scary person. Not only do I know that, we all know that, the world knows that, and leaders have said it. And here's the thing. I know I always repeat myself because the left comes in here and oh, where's the receipts? Where are you getting that from? You're just making that up. No. India said it themselves. Prime Minister Modi, like, this time last week. So, no, I'm not making it up. He said it himself. It might have been the Japanese prime minister. I might have screwed that one up. It might have been the Japanese one. I think that's right. Like I said, it's morning, folks. I had a late night. I was watching the game. Look at this. Look at this. She seeks to enshrine current limits on the operations of foreign agents into the Constitution and establish harsher penalties for gun trafficking. Okay, that's good. That's good. But how's that going to stop us from doing a little tactical team called maybe SEAL Team 6 going in and taking out these cartels? You would think as a country you would want that to happen because you can't get it under control. They're in like the top 5 or something like that of criminal countries like in the world or some insane thing. She doesn't run the country. The cartels do. Everybody knows that. Everybody. She said Mexico was not consulted when the Trump administration designated cartels as terrorist organizations. Why would we? Why would we consult you? You're idiots over there in the way that you run your government. Case in point, allowing sex trafficking, drug trafficking, illegal immigration, hell, all trafficking to take place to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars that are taking place through your country. Your country is nothing but a garbage funnel that's allowing all this criminal behavior to take place. Yeah, I said it. Somebody needed to say it. I'm not wrong. What's funny is you'll get all these Mexicans that are coming out. Half my family's Mexican by marriage. You get all these Mexicans that come out, start waving the flag, right? How could you say that about our country? You don't know anything. Mexico's great. Okay, go live there then. If it's so great, go live there. I don't think it's great. I don't think there is a greater country than America. If there was, and I've said it before, if there was, you bet your ass I'd be living there. It doesn't exist. And once it does, guess what? I will pack up and I will go there because that's easy. We always make it seem like it's hard to move. You know what I mean? Like, oh God, I got to pack a suitcase and leave. Oh, it's terrible. No, you just get up and move. You literally just do it. I mean, people have been doing it for millennia. We've always gone and moved. Now, the process of it isn't exactly fun, but you could do it. America's the best country that's ever existed. Historically, terrorist designations against criminal syndicates have sparked debates over national sovereignty and whether such moves could justify extended actions by the U.S. government abroad. No, this one is legitimate because 250,000 plus Americans are dying from fentanyl that's coming through the southern border. So I would say that's a good grounds and cause to go into Mexico and blow some of these guys up and kill them. I mean, you are in the middle of a war. We just don't look at it in terms of pew, 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 pow, that type of war. This is a war on drugs. This is a war of fentanyl that's coming across. It's killing your children in the school system. It's killing adults out there. It's being laced into marijuana and other things. It's killing people in the tunes of what a war would. So I think we need to go in and do some harmful things to these guys and teach them about a little bit of something. So that's where I stand on it. I know people don't like that, but I don't care because I actually want people to live other than terrorists. And what's funny is in California, you can get in trouble for saying that you want people to die because they're killing hundreds of thousands of people. It's an odd thing. I know. Trust me, I'm here too. I try to find the logic in it. But the thing is that when you say something in the state of California, they don't care your reasoning for saying it. Like they don't care the logic behind it. They just don't like the way it sounds. Does that make sense? Like I could say, I'm not for illegal immigration. Somebody could say, well, we are for illegal immigration. We think it should happen. We don't care why you're not for it. We just think that we are. And that's the case there. So I can't even explain why I think it's bad to allow somebody that murdered an entire family and then raped their dead bodies. I can't explain why they should be deported. You're saying we should harbor them. You can't have that. The conversation doesn't matter in the state of California. That's how bonkers this state is. And I am not kidding. I am as serious as I possibly can be. It's really bonkers. Let's get into the chat a little bit before we move on to the next story here. Brad, tell us how you really feel about Mexico. Like, Mexico has some gorgeous places. I've been there, but mostly it's just not a good area, and they need to fix it. What's going on, Candy? Good morning. Happy Friday. Whenever I see Candy's name, I always want candy. I always do. Dizzy says they gave my brother fentanyl to OD and kill himself, so I guess I can only be 50% pissed off at the cartels. Oh, God. We got some, you guys are so dark sometimes. Well, I don't know if that's a true story, Dizzy, but I hope your brother's okay. Q9069 says, last night was the first time I've watched a hockey game in full. Those players are badass, amazing speed and talent. Yeah, and they're super tore up. That's one thing I don't think was talked enough about, and generally not in hockey. Usually when you're in a game situation like that, or in the playoffs, when you get to the Stanley Cup, you will find out like a week later. That's when they will release the injury list of these guys and what they were going through. It's not uncommon for guys to be playing these style of games, like high games like you're seeing in the championship game or the Stanley Cup game, with like broken legs, broken arms. That's how much hockey players play through this. I'm not kidding, by the way. There's famous cases of hockey players, a lot of them, playing through like fractured legs, limbs, broken fingers, all that. It's crazy what these guys, like, the reason why Matthew Tkachuk couldn't play last night, allegedly he has a pulled groin muscle, and I've played through 2 of those, and I understand why you can't skate, because physically it doesn't work. If your muscle's not working, there's nothing you could do. So that's why he wasn't playing last night. But we had a lot of injuries, no excuse. We lost. Q says we should just take Mexico. Yeah, 52nd state. I don't want it. To be honest, I don't want it. There's too much. There's too much to do there. It's so bad. It's ran so bad. Folks, there's a reason why everybody's fleeing that country. You know what I mean? No, it's kind of like why you think anybody wants to go into Gaza? You think anybody wants to go and hang out in Gaza for a bit? No, not really. Look, there's some nice places. There is. I will say there's probably a building standing somewhere in Gaza that you can hang out in. Mexico, there's some nice places. I keep saying that. So when you say like, oh, it's a terribly ran country, it is. Some could say that America was a terribly ran country in the last 4 years, and it was, but it's still better. It's how bad Mexico is right now. Outdoor Libby says, in middle school, which was many years ago, 25. Holy, no, I'm just kidding. My brother was suspended because he had a shirt with Georgia flag on it. He was labeled a racist. I have a story like that. I went to school with a Raiders jacket on in middle school. Or not middle school, elementary school. I must have been in like 2nd or 3rd grade. I got sent home. I had a Raiders jacket on. I'll never forget this. And I was baffled because, you know, on the shield on the Raiders, I'm not even a Raiders fan, by the way. It was just freaking cold. And I was a kid, you know, walking up. Oh, I'm so cute. Look at me in my huge Jackie. You know, one of those big old puffy Jackies as a kid. Almost like it's snowing outside, but I'm in Southern California. Yeah, they sent me home. I had a Raiders logo on. And they said, no, it's too controversial. It has swords in it. I was like 2nd or 3rd grade. I'm turning 36 soon. Even I can remember that. Bonkers, man. Bonkers. The left's been working long. My husband took a month trip to Mexico. The stories he tells. I bet. Let us know, Angel. Tell us. What are your thoughts on 5K payback to American taxpayers? Is it available to green card holders that pay taxes here? I don't know. I don't have the answer to the green holders. But I don't have an answer to that one. There's not much. He just said, hey, what Dan is talking about here is if Elon Musk saves $2 trillion, I don't even think it has to be 2 trillion, but that's the goal. However much he's able to save, hopefully it is 2 trillion. But the goal is to give 20% back to the taxpayers and then 20% to pay down our debt. And then based on what Stephen Miller said yesterday during White House press briefing, if you didn't catch that episode, we did stream it yesterday. It's still up for you to get, and then those are always fun. He said that the rest could utilize as a holdover for the next fiscal year. And it seems like that's kind of what they're going to do. We were all shocked because Stephen actually gave a very, very clear answer. And even Peter kind of sat back. He goes, okay. And he just moved on to his next question. So 20% would be about 5,000, give or take, right? The people are hitting me in TikTok for saying it 5,000. Oh, it's not 5,000, it's really 1,200. Depends on how they do it. But that's what we're looking at. In terms of who it's going to, how it's going to go there, I have no idea. I hope they handle it better than they did with the stimulus checks, because that's the last thing I want is an illegal immigrant grabbing our money. So hopefully they do it right. Well, speaking of Elon Musk and Doge, thank you for the transition. Musk waves chainsaw yesterday at CPAC, the chainsaw for bureaucracy. So the CPAC's going on right now. And that's my jam, by the way, because, again, I know I'm a registered Republican, but I've said this time and time again, I'm a fiscal conservative. So it's just that the Republican Party is the closest party between the two that carries my values, which is why you guys will see that I say I'm not beholden to any party. I'm actually a conservative. We just don't have a conservative party. So I always want to make that distinction there. I suppose I could go independent, but like I said, the Republican Party is just the party that holds my values the most out of the two. At the end of the day, these politicians, these parties are just tools to be utilized to get our agenda done. So this is my jam here, Conservative Political Action Conference. This is like my thing, baby. And so I was cracking up because yesterday, homie walks out like the meme. There's a meme of Elon Musk that looks like this. And then they give him a chainsaw that's like freaking polished. I love it. Elon Musk waved a chainsaw bequeathed him by Argentina's president Javier. I always mispronounce his last name, but this guy's freaking awesome. Malai at the event, proclaiming this is the chainsaw of bureaucracy. And the great thing about this president from Argentina, the guy has completely changed the country of Argentina, like complete 180. It's kind of like the president of El Salvador, where El Salvador and then Argentina both had a lot of leftist leaning policies that really crippled their countries. One of the policies for El Salvador, to be specific, was just basically kind of what we're doing in the state of California and other democratic left-wing areas, allowing criminals to just run roughshod over the counties, the cities, and the state. And it creates a massive problem, and it actually degrades and it hurts your state because people want to move out. People don't want to build businesses there. Insurance goes through the roof, yada, yada, yada. Well, it ended up, one of the reasons, there's a lot of reasons why El Salvador went down, but it's all woke left-wing policies. He started cracking down on crime, and he has that famous prison now where you have all those gang members that if you're even in a gang, you're in there for life now. So if you want to choose to get all tatted up and become a gang member, you're in there for life. Peace out. I mean, there's obviously a lot of other reasons why you'd be in there too, but it's a famous prison. And that's the one where he reached out to Donald Trump and said, hey, you know what, for a discount, we'll take them in. It's really cheap to run because we don't give them all this fluff like we do in America, right? Oh, well, it's inhumane. How are you going to treat somebody that raped and killed a bunch of people like that? This is how the left thinks. No, they should be living in dirt. That's what I think. You want to rape and kill people, you should be living in dirt. Actually, you should be 6 feet under the prison, but, you know, I don't always get my way. So the left are wackos, they're crazy, and he turned that country around. Now, Argentina, right here, he cut the budget successfully. There's that famous clip of him going, we don't need it. We don't need it. We don't need it. Taking all these things off a whiteboard. He measures and gave the country its first budget surplus in more than 10 years. Argentina had a surplus of 1.7 trillion pesos. And the primary fiscal balance rose to 10.4 trillion peso surplus. Argentina can do it, but we can't. Really? Really? I mean, come on. So here's Elon Musk being gifted the chainsaw. And before we get there, we were gifted here by, is it Andrea? I always mispronounce that, but thank you so much for the $5. Greatly appreciate you always hanging in the chat. And she is a member with the badge. And I always love that because the badges are cool. I made them myself. I got to give myself a pat on the back. Look, I thought they were cool. Whenever I make something, if anybody's curious, it is very selfish of me, but I make things that I can't find that I would want myself. Case in point, my mug. This is not a plug, but it kind of is. I wanted my mug. I always saw the late night show host have a mug like this. I was like, oh, that'd be cool to have like a show and like my name on it. Like that'd be kind of cool. The hat. You can't find these hats. People ask, hey, how do I buy one of the hats? I made it myself. You can't buy it. I just made it. I got the the Velcro thingies and I glued it onto a hat. There's a bunch of stuff. And then the shields and stuff. It's just cool. And then the shirts I have. Those are the shirts. I wear my shirt, by the way. It's falling apart. I got to buy a new one. I wear it so much, it's falling apart. Thank you for the $5. And hopefully I didn't miss anybody over at Rumble. I don't think I did. All right, let's do it. Here he is. This guy's so funny, dude. He loves Trump. He loves Trump.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw! That's perfect. All right.
I love it. Mr. President, thank you so much.
All right.
Making Argentina great again, man. There's a place to go vacation. Mexico could do it too. They can't because they have too many criminals running the country. They just can't. You know, this is what it is. So that was kind of a cool little moment from the president of El Salvador to gift Elon Musk that. You know, Elon loved it. Elon was all about it. Well, the media is still being called out for this lie. It's really, really crazy. There's a fact check here that's still going on. Do y'all remember this clip from Margaret Brennan from like a week and a half ago? Where she said free speech did not exist in Nazi Germany. And that was the reason for the Holocaust. Do you guys remember that clip with Marco Rubio? Hold on. Maybe you don't. Hold on. I want to see if I can find it here really quick. Now this is really going to screw me up. It's really going to mess me up. I want you to see, because I know some people are like, what are you talking about? I don't remember that clip. Margaret Brennan Nazi. Let me see if I can find it here really quick. She had here we go. Look at that. Boom. Take care of you guys.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship was specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history.
Well, he was standing in a country.
So the fact checkers came out. And this is what we got here. Brennan believes that free speech existed in Nazi Germany. Really? I know that's untrue, not only from history, but from the experiences of my own mother and grandmother, who filled with my youth with stories of the government's oppression they saw and experienced in the 1930s in Nazi Germany. Rubio quickly hit back, correctly observing that free speech wasn't used to conduct genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime. Brennan obviously does not understand the difference between censorship and propaganda. Free speech swiftly disappeared in Germany after the Nazi Party took control of the country, and propaganda, not free speech, began spewing out of the government, as well as the newspapers, radio stations, and journalists that the Nazi Party controlled under its new Reich Ministry of Enlightenment and Propaganda. Now, if you just switch that, by the way, to what the Democrats wanted to do under Joe Biden, that was called the Ministry of Truth. Ministry of Truth is what the Democrats wanted to call it. So that's what they do, right? They take things and they change the meaning of it, kind of like a recession. Y'all remember that one? And then they give it a new definition and they kind of do the little smoke and mirrors. So, we're gonna call it the Ministry of Truth, so they don't know that it's really the Reich Ministry of Enlightenment and Propaganda. Let's little switcheroo there. Perhaps CBS should give Brennan an all-expense paid trip to the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., as their Holocaust encyclopedia explains. When the Nazis came to power in 1933, the German Constitution guaranteed freedom of speech and the freedom of the press through decrees and laws. And Nazi abolished these civil rights. starting in 1934, it was illegal to criticize the Nazi government, which tends to happen when some government goes usurpacious. That's why I've always said you have the second. That's why my shirt, my logo, I don't even have it on here. My logo is the way it is because the eagle is pointing towards the microphone in like a time of peace where I want to utilize my freedom of speech, but ultimately, and the eagle's holding the handgun because when the head is facing that way, that means my freedom of speech is under threat and I need to utilize the Second Amendment to protect the First Amendment. And even without the eagle pointing at the gun, that is why it's there as well. It's that Second Amendment as a safety net, as a safety barrier to protect that First Amendment. Once both are gone, well, you might as well just you're screwed. I don't want to say give up, but you're screwed. So that's why that whole eagle that I created myself in my head, which is cool that it came out. That's what that stands for. And right now the eagle's pointing just like you have in the Oval Office, right? Where it's the olive branch and the arrows. Peace and not peace. Peace and war. Peace and war. Yeah, man. Peace and war. The Nazi closed down, rather, or took over an anti-Nazi newspaper in another move to control communications. The Nazi passed the... I'm not even going to bother. Can anybody read that? Schriftlichkeitsgesetz. Also known as the Editorial Control Act. Why didn't they just say it? Why did they just say it themselves? Honestly, I would really love to see. I wish we had like mics for you guys to see how you say that. You're all giving me shit. Really, Brad? You can't read it? Oh, really? Look at you. You have dyslexia. You can't do it. That required all journalists to be licensed by the government to practice their profession. As the archives at the International Center of Nazi Persecution explains, anyone expressing anti-Nazi views would not be licensed, and those who received license were directly subordinate to the Ministry of Propaganda and accountable to the ministry instead of their publishers. So it's a learning moment for Margaret. Learning moment for Margaret. Checking out your guys' chat here. Oh, wow, that is a big word. Yeah, can you imagine Joey? So here's the sad thing. Joe Biden could probably read it. You know? It's so fumbly and it just doesn't come off the tongue easily that Joey probably could have done it, right? He stumbles over words like and, is, more, could. But when it comes to something like that, a Nazi word, he's like, I can do it. I love it. Some of you are wondering, how the hell does this guy have so much energy in the morning? How does he do it? Well, folks, there's something brewing in this cup of coffee here, in this mug. And this sponsorship also is vastly and greatly important to Rumble and incredibly important to the survival of the company, for that matter. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built a platform for small creators such as myself. And they didn't have censorship or biases towards others. They treated everybody fairly and equally, in my opinion. And I think in everybody else's opinion too. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on COVID, but they did a lot. And they're still doing it over there at YouTube. I mean, heck, even Facebook admitted to it, folks. They fell to the pressure of the Biden-Harris administration. That's what they did. And Zuckerberg admitted to it. Rumble did not. Rumble held the line, baby. They are attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to all you fine people. They are attacked by corporate media. They're attacked by governments like France. They're attacked by brand advertisers who refuse to work with them, which is a massive problem because how do you make money on a platform if people don't want to advertise on your platform? Corporate America is fighting to remove free speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers. They don't get much of it. Watching our show on Rumble is the most they can ask from you. But if you really believe in the cause and you believe in the fight and you have the means, one major way you could do and help Rumble is buy Rumble Premium. You can help them survive, folks. You can actually take care of a company that believes in your values. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in the human right to free speech. Rumble is offering $10 off with promo code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we're just happy if you watch over us, over on Rumble for us. That'd be great. Now, this is a Rumble product, not the cup. The cup's a Bald Brad product. Get out of here. But the coffee inside is a Rumble product. It's $17.75 coffee, and that's how I get amped in the morning. And the reason why also that Rumble Premium is important, we're going to be growing here, folks. We're not going to stay at 70,000. we're getting this for the long haul. We are going to get over 100,000 subscribers at some point. Okay, we're at almost, well, if you take all my subscribers from everywhere, we're over 70,000 already, but we're going to get bigger. I'm going to be shortly applying to the Rumble Small Creator Program. Hopefully I get in. You have to do an application. If I get in, you have to stream 25 hours a month, which is no biggie. We already do that. It's not a big deal. But then you also have to stream on what's called Rumble Premium. That means you have to have Rumble Premium to be able to watch the stream. Those are going to be very selective dark MAGA nights. The reason why I want it to be dark MAGA night is because we can pop off a little bit more crazy rants. The reason why is because you have to have a subscription, a premium, to be able to see it. That's not going to be viewable on YouTube. It's not going to be viewable on Twitter. It is legitimately only on Rumble. So 5 hours, that's basically once or twice a week, every single month, we're going to be doing a Rumble Premium podcast. That's outside of our normal podcast that we're doing right now, that I would love for you guys to join. But the only way to do that is you need to have Rumble Premium. And that's to help them survive. I myself have Rumble Premium, you guys. Okay. Again, I pay for it as well. I think it's that important. So put my money where my mouth is. And I want to point out that is my money going towards it. Like I've always said, your money that you guys send into the show goes into the show. So I want to be clear on that. It's not you guys paying for my Rumble Premium. Your money goes back into the show. My Rumble Premium is different than the show. I just want to be clear on that. It would be like me buying Netflix, which I don't have, but I wouldn't use your money that you guys are contributing to the show to buy Netflix. Does that make sense? Everything that's contributed to the show goes 100% back into the show. Just want to be clear. Unless you guys tell me to buy a cup of coffee, which sometimes you guys do, and I have to make a note, okay, go buy a cup of coffee with this $5, because I really am sincere about that, and it's also my accounting brain. Good to see you, Mark. The program doesn't accept bald people. Sorry, Brad. Well, screw you, George. They're going to take me in. I'll be the first bald person ever. What style content is Rumble have there? Rumble is predominant. Well, it's like YouTube. They have all different types of style of content, but there's a lot of Republican and conservative creators on there. I would say right now it's pretty much all conservative and Republican, but they're trying to make a big splash in like the gaming, kind of like Twitch does and stuff like that. X gave a guy 24-hour silence for posting about Tina Peters. I have no idea who Tina Peters is, but that sucks. X really? X right now must have done something really bad, I guess. I don't know. Alrighty, let's get more back into the news. Stephen Miller. God, I love this guy. We were all fangirling yesterday evening. If you weren't able to join us for our live stream, that is still up, but I highly recommend you go check out the White House press briefing, because you get a lot of information that either we don't cover here on the show, and quite frankly, not a lot of other people cover as well. And I think it is important to kind of check those things out. Stephen, we were all fangirling yesterday over this guy because he was killing it during the White House press briefing. White House senior advisor Stephen Miller spoke on Thursday about the idea the administration is kicking around involving the Department of Government Efficiency sending dividend checks. This is exactly what I think it was Dan that brought up in the chat, from wasteful spending that the department has uncovered. And so he explained this during yesterday's White House press briefing, and I have it right here for you. Muted.
20% back to taxpayers. We're hearing about these Doge dividend checks that would be 20% back to taxpayers, 20% to pay down the debt. 60% is left. Who gets that?
Well, the way that it works is when you achieve savings, you can either return it to taxpayers, you can return it to our debtors, or it can be cycled into next year's budget, and then it just lowers the overall baseline for next year. So in other words, you can just transfer into the next fiscal window and then lower the overall spending level. And that means that you can achieve a permanent savings that way, and that reduces the deficit.
And when is it that people might see those checks?
Well, this is all going to be worked on through the reconciliation process with Congress that's going underway right now. As you've seen, the Senate's moving a bill, the House is moving a bill. The President has great confidence in both chambers to deliver on his priorities. I would just take this opportunity to note that President Trump has made a historic commitment to the working class of this country to fight for major tax relief and major price relief. And cutting spending, as Doge is doing, and cutting taxes is the key to delivering on both of those promises, and President Trump is resolutely committed to doing both.
Thank you. And on Ukraine, I guess this is...
It was such a clear answer. Like, I haven't heard that clear of an answer in over 4 years. Look, Caroline's great, but I don't think, I mean, she's been clear, but in terms of answering something, I haven't heard somebody just be able to explain it that quickly, how it's going to benefit the American people, how it's going to benefit the getting rid of the debt by bringing that down a little bit, how it's going to roll over next fiscal year, and we're working with Congress. And then also, how does it connect to the president's agenda? All in the span of like less than 2 minutes. He's just good at his job. He's very good at explaining things. And it's very impressive because sometimes, and I have to do this a lot, you have to take very difficult concepts, extremely difficult, and you have to break them down for the common folk. That doesn't mean somebody else is dumb. It just means you're more knowledgeable on how the intricacies of all this works, and the other person you're talking to doesn't. They just want a simple answer really quick on how this is all going to function and benefit them. As an educator, I teach AP statistics. AP statistics has a lot of difficult concepts, a lot of abstract concepts that roll into one another and they weave in and out. And you have to be able to visualize it a lot in your mind. You have to know how it works. I have to explain that in a simplified manner. And sometimes it's just not possible, but most times you can. You can do that, but it also will get you kind of caught because sometimes your simple explanation actually will contradict itself later on. So that's only like caveat, I think, that happens. What would be the contradiction here is that 20% is going back to taxpayers. Well, that might not necessarily be true. So that would be the caveat. He's trying to oversimplify something to make sense, and he can get kicked for it. But we'll be here to make sure we call it the media on that crap if they try to pull that one on our boy Steven. I'm always checking the chat. Lily says, thanks for showing that, Brad. I missed it and was wondering. Oh, thanks, Lily. Appreciate that. Always appreciate you in the show as well. Joanne says, actually going to go back and listen to that again. I think we might be talking about the White House press briefing, but I always have fun doing the press briefings. I think 20% for taxpayers is a joke. 35% is more reasonable. I would love all the money to come back, but you have to be careful. And look, Caitlin Collins, believe it or not, of CNN actually had a good question yesterday. I almost fell over in my chair. She asked the same question I did of how are you going to make sure that doesn't have an inflationary impact when you start cashing out checks? Remember, 20%, 35%, the more you go up, the more of a possibility it's going to have a long-term effect. We got that from Joey. Folks, I think, what was our stimulus checks when Joey cashed those out? Was it like 2,000? 2,500 or something like that. I mean, he gave that to everybody, which wasn't smart. I mean, there's a lot of fraud that took place too, but he pumped the economy full of a bunch of money, and look at the inflationary impact that happened. So that's what my question was, is how are we going to make sure and stem that? Hey, people get their $5,000 because it's per taxpayer. So you and your wife, as long as you're both taxpayers, or vice versa, you and your husband, that's 10 grand. That's a lot of freaking money. I mean, people are complaining, well, that's not enough. Look, I agree with everybody here. It's not enough. We've been royally effed. So it was 2,000. Okay. So we're getting double what we did on the stimulus checks. Look at the impact it had. So we have to be very careful here. I would love all of it. If we save $2 trillion, I would love that $2 trillion back in my pocket that we all paid for. I'm right there with you guys. But we also have to be careful on how we do this, and we have to be strategic. And part of that is rolling it over into other years or bringing down the deficit, all those things. So look, I'm with you guys. You're talking to a fiscal conservative. I'm with you. But at the same time, we have to be reasonable here and be careful, because that $5,000 with inflation, kind of like Joey had it, might not be worth $5,000, and you would have been probably better off by paying down the deficit or lowering the interest rates in some way, shape, or form, or rolling it into the following year than you were to actually receive that $5,000. So again, with you guys, just got to be careful. Brock says, Brad, if we weren't sent a check, will it then be subtracted from our tax return? I don't know yet. I don't know that. And that's the question. Is this $5,000 going to be taxed? That's something that they will have to flesh out through Congress. And that's a simple thing to put on the tax form. But I don't know. It's too early to tell. This was just something that was said this week. Nobody knows how it's going to happen. Nobody knows the details. We could still get effed through this, you guys. They might say all taxpayers get it. Some dude's an illegal paying taxes. He might get your money. I don't know. So we got to figure it out here, but we got time. Remember, Doge goes all the way till next year, so we got a while here. And for all I know, it could happen quicker than later. But to save $2 trillion, it's going to take some time. I'm a fan of paying down the deficit. Me too. Oh, me too. We got to start tackling this. We got to turn into Argentina. We need a surplus here. How the hell is Argentina doing better than us? Come on. Well, we got Pam Bondi in the news here. Pam fires top ATF official as Trump admin guts Biden officials throughout government. And the media is losing their ish over this. Over all the firings, by the way. They don't understand how all this works. And by the way, this was a question in yesterday's White House press briefing. And so there was a civics lesson that was being done by Stephen Miller on how things are supposed to function. And because the media's brains don't work, they were complete knuckleheads over that whole thing. So I'll see if I can find the civics lesson for you a little bit later. But earlier today, I was served an official notice from the Attorney General of the United States that I was being removed from my position as the chief counsel of ATF and my employment with the Department of Justice terminated. Hicks said in a statement on social media confirming the news. This is Pamela Hicks, by the way, and the counsel for ATF, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. I've had the privilege of serving in the federal civil service for almost 28 years, including 23 at the Attorney for the Department of Justice, Hicks continued. Serving as ATF chief counsel has been the highest honor of my career, and working with the people at ATF and throughout the department has been my pleasure. Gun Owners of America said Hicks oversaw the enforcement of every Biden infringement of the Second Amendment since taking the position in 2021, which is why you're gone. But again, these people don't look at it that way. Well, I served for this long. You didn't do your job well. You didn't. And that's why you're out. And I'm glad, because these Democrats, mostly progressive left, are infringing on our Second Amendment. You guys, I am more Second Amendment than a lot of even Republicans are. I'm going to say it now. I think you should be able to buy a freaking jet if you wanted to. If you got the money to buy an F-35, you should be able to buy it. That's how hardcore Second Amendment I am. I know people don't like it. Like, well, I don't think you should have grenades and RPGs. I know. I think you should have whatever the hell you want. I know people don't like that, and I get that that can run into some dicey territory. Fully on board. I don't like limitations on the Second Amendment. Now, somebody go, well, should somebody be able to buy a nuclear warhead? I got to mull it over. Probably not, but I got to mull it. Because then they go, oh, well, doesn't that contradict yourself? Yes, it does. It does. You're like, well, doesn't that infringe on your right to bear arms? Yes, it does. And I admit it. And you know what? Nothing happens. Look at that. I contradicted myself. Nothing happens. But there has to be some sort of limit at the top that could kill millions of people. You drop a freaking nuke in Los Angeles, well, you just killed millions of people. Probably shouldn't happen. We just need to abolish the ATF altogether. Yeah, maybe. You might be right. Might be right. Thank you for the $5, Travis. Thank you. By the way, Travis, send me an email. You talked a while about Discord. Toss me an email, and I'll email you back. I got some questions for you. The news comes after the FBI general counsel resigned earlier this month as the Trump administration seeks fresh faces to serve in key positions over the next 4 years. Well, remember, you got Kash Patel coming in. I mean, that was a razor thin margin of Kash Patel getting confirmed yesterday, which I am so stoked about. Kash, please come out with some big news today. Please. Pam Bondi was asked about the Epstein list, and she did say she was briefed yesterday on it. She couldn't talk more about it. But now that we got Kash Patel coming into the building, I'm hoping that the Epstein list drops like next week. I want the JFK files. I want the 9/11 files. I want the Benghazi files. I want all of it to take place. We will see what truly happens. But you had Stephen Miller yesterday also talking about how the pledge of the full might of DHS, DOJ, DOD to be used in mass deportation effort. I don't like how Tom Homan is doing things. And I want to be a little bit more clear. I like what he's doing. I don't like the pace at which he's doing it. He's not doing enough. He made a lot of promises. He made big promises. Promises I quite frankly didn't think he could fulfill, but I thought he would be a little bit closer than what he's at. He's not doing enough. We are not doing enough. You can't underpace what Biden did, or else you're never going to achieve getting rid of 15 million people that you allowed to come in here illegally that Biden did. And by the way, you would still have like 20 million people here illegally. So you wouldn't even cut what we got in half. You'd still have a ton of people in the tunes of millions siphoning from our system. This is not good. You doing like, oh, well, we got 1,000 people in a week. Yeah, but that's only 52,000 people a year. The guy let in like 10 plus million people. You're only here for 4 years. And Tom Homan didn't even last 4 years last time he was in the Trump administration. Y'all remember that? It's not sufficient. It's not. So he needs to get his ass in gear. So I'm not even gonna bother reading this, but they're focusing on criminals, but what they're doing is I'm telling you, they're under delivering, man. It's bugging me. It really is. Because that's one of my main issues was immigration. People are killing other people. Brock says Epstein files. Yeah, we'll see. I'm a little nervous because, like I said, they're taking a long time to get Cash in there. So I don't know what they got rid of. Cash was very open about the Epstein list. That it was the director of the FBI, Christopher Wray, that had his paws all over it, and he wasn't the one willing to release it. So we'll see. I don't know what they deleted. I don't know what they got rid of. I don't know what they scrubbed, but I'm sure Cash will find out and he'll let us all know. Rob Stewart says, hit the like button like savages. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it. Thank you. You guys are awesome, man. It's cool because it's like, yeah, I'm doing the show, but I feel like you guys are also running it too. You know what I mean? I feel like I got a lot of people that have my back in here, say, hey, hit that like button, help the guy out, help the Patriot community out. We have the best community. Epstein list needs to come with mass arrest. I'm just curious on who's on it. And I just want it. Isn't that weird? This is what I love about Friday shows is we could totally like deviate just really quick here based on how the chat's going. Isn't it weird that like there's this entire sex operation going on and trafficking that was on a global scale? And it was just like 2 people that were prosecuted. Epstein, who allegedly killed himself. Have you guys seen the pictures of his cell, by the way? Has anybody seen them? Let me see if I can pull it up. I don't know if I'll get in trouble for this. I want you to tell me if this looks normal. You let me know if you've ever seen a cell. Let me see if I want to see if I can pull up the image that you guys will be able to see. Let me get myself out of the way. Okay, this is what his cell looked like. Does that look normal to you? Because I've seen a lot of those like 60 Minutes, all those shows going into, prisons. Has anybody ever seen this many jumpsuits in there? It looks like somebody is literally running a laundry operation. Find it hard to believe. That's why. This here is what makes me find it a little hard to believe that it wasn't set up. Oh, the guards fell asleep. Oh yeah, and he was on suicide watch. Guys on suicide watch, and you're gonna get him like 30 jumpsuits. That's just one of the many reasons. A little odd to me. And then Ghislaine Maxwell, she gets thrown in the brig as well. If there was this massive sex operation, sex trafficking, all that stuff, probably selling off people too. Where's all the people that did the trafficking? Like, where's all the guys that were the ones having sex with all these young women? Where are they all? I mean, if it was a global thing, like they're saying it is, and it was enough to throw people in the brig, where's all the names? Like, where's everybody that did all these harmful things? Where's all the women out there coming out saying, hey, this is the guy that did it to me? Maybe they didn't know. I mean, if it's a celebrity, you think you would know. I don't know. It's odd, really odd. Anybody else think that? Can you guys let me know? That's odd, right? I want to make sure I'm not the only one thinking this. And don't give me that confirmation bias. If it's really not odd, then let me know, please. I want to know. Okay, here we go. Danielle says, I worked in LA jails. They are not given that many jumpsuits. Oh, thank you, God, girl. Thank you. That's not normal. All right. That's what I thought. Now, I want to be clear. My family is a family of law enforcement. I may have already known that it wasn't normal, but it's nice to have you there. Thank you for bringing awareness to the fact that it wasn't normal. I needed somebody to have my back there. Thank you. All the guards fell asleep. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. All the cams stopped working too. Yep. On suicide watch. It's unbelievable. People be like, now, could he have killed himself? Yeah, but remember, one of the autopsies, and I think it was his brother that said this, the autopsy said it didn't come in the form of something you tend to see in more of a suicide. It comes in the form of more of a homicidal type of strangulation. We'll see. Now, here's what you guys have been asking me about the game. The game was okay. Now, for somebody that just watched hockey, they probably thought it was the best game ever. It wasn't bad. For me, watching USA play the other games, they looked tired this game. They looked like they just had been playing too long, and I don't know. They just looked tired. That's not the excuse why they lost. They lost because they had a very terrible defensive game. Whoever's 23 on USA needs to clean up his game. He made 2 errors. Both those errors cost United States this win. Not only was he there for one of the goals where he pivoted the wrong way, he allowed the guy to go past him. That guy scored. But he also had tunnel vision on one of the guys, and he had 2 other Americans go towards that last guy. So you have 3 guys tunnel vision on one person, which leaves 4 other guys on the ice to do whatever they want. You leave Connor McDavid in the slot, and well, he scored. So USA, I would say, deserved to lose this one. But Canada's goalie also stood on his head in that last OT there. And it's funny because I called it. I looked over at my wife and I said, Canada's going to win this game in overtime. She says, how do you know that? I said, because it always happens in hockey. And it's a weird phenomenon that I've watched over the course of my entire life. For some reason, when a team is like thrashing another team, like United States was to Canada in overtime, like United States had a ton of opportunities to put the puck in the net. A ton. And there were big opportunities. And it was just coming time again. And I told her, I said, this is not a good sign, because for some reason, there's this phenomenon in hockey that when a team is doing something like that to another team, the other team just ends up coming back and will take their first shot in like 5 minutes and just score. And the game's over. That's exactly what happened, by the way. It's a weird thing. It's kind of like there's another weird thing that happens in hockey a lot too. There's this idea that we say if you're up in a game 3-1, it's considered the worst lead in hockey, because there's been time and time again through this phenomenon that teams come back from a 3-1 deficit and end up winning the game. So 3-1 is considered the worst lead in hockey. So you have this here. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau pushed back on President Donald Trump, suggesting that Canada might be the 51st state. After Canada defeated USA in the Four Nations Face-Off Hockey Championship Thursday night. You can't take our country and you can't take our game. You guys ended up winning that one, man, but USA was actually the better team in that tournament, and everybody would agree with that. Everybody's been talking about how Canada is just not the team that they used to be. You guys aren't the hockey people that you used to be. I'm not just saying that because I'm American. Everybody sees it. Canada has really declined in terms of their skill of being the power of hockey. You ended up winning the game that was important, but everybody knows, and everybody was talking about how Team Canada is not just who they used to be in prior years, that it's really the Americans that have rose to the occasion, and they're kind of the big dog now. So we lost the game, but at the end of the day, we're still the better team. But we got to take the loss. It's not a good feeling, but I love that we could still troll Canada. And look, hey, we're walking away that game with Donald Trump as our president. The Canadians are walking away with Justin Trudeau as their prime minister. I'll take Trump all day. It is weird. And I kind of left this out. I think I didn't even mention it. And by the way, the USA chants last night were freaking bonkers. Let me try to go to my Twitter page real quick, because you guys are asking if I would cover some stuff, and I will. I have to be careful. Remember, I will get flagged. YouTube is watching me like a microscope, man. I have to be careful on what I show. Let me see if I can find. Did I not post it on my pro? Did I not? What's going on here? Here's one of the goals last night. It's 9 seconds. Hopefully I don't get flagged for it.
Now a wraparound by Matthews, and they score! Brady Kachuk knocked it home!
The place was bonkers.
Now a wraparound.
If you didn't watch that game last night, the cheers, the USA chant, I got goosebumps talking about it. The USA chants were bonkers yesterday. And everybody was talking about it. Look at this. You don't get this at NFL games or NBA games. This is all hockey. Do you know how loud that has to be for the microphones to pick that up? They were doing it all night, folks. This isn't like a offshoot of like, oh, we just did it at the beginning of the game. Throughout the entire night for 3 hours, people were chanting this. The place was buzzing last night. Buzzing. You got to love it. Here we go. Here's some more for you. Man, I'll tell you what, watching that game last night, you would have felt patriotic. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that we lost. Just last night, you felt like a unified country. Because look, there's a lot of Democrats in that crowd as well. A lot of people are saying, hey, this felt like what it felt like after 9/11. Not to bring that up. But do you understand what I mean in terms of level of patriotism? That's what it felt like. So I got to be careful again. I got to do short bursts because they'll flag me. But anyways, that was the game last night. We lost. It was a good game overall. Went to overtime. Best player in hockey, Connor McDavid, some would say. It was the one that scored. So at least it was one of the better players that put the puck in the net. Where was the game played? USA or Canada? It was played in Boston. So we had home advantage. In Boston, you know, they're rowdy. The boys out there on the East Coast are a little bit more rowdy than us here on the West Coast. Well, that will be today's show. We might do, most likely at some point, either today or over the weekend. We'll probably try to get a couple episodes out because I need to meet that threshold of 30 hours. And so I want to see if we can maybe cover some stuff, maybe the CPAC event. We might hop in and stream for a while. So be on the lookout for that. You guys, I always love hanging out with you and, going over the news. I always say that, but I never want to take you for granted. I really do appreciate all you. Electric Lemon, you look new, but thank you for joining the Bald Brad Show. If you're not, that name just looks new to me. So it's good to see you. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Shout out to Electric. Unless you're coming over from YouTube and your name's changed. Good to see Dixie, Robin. Hey, what's good? Robin, you're at the tail end of the show, but good to see you, Robin. Rob's here. Everyone's here. I love seeing the names, especially when I haven't seen you guys in a while. Like Devil, I feel like, and you guys might say, oh, I've been here, but, just not chatting. So appreciate you guys. With that being said, thank you to everybody that donates. We do have a website, baldbrad.com. We have a book, Trojan Horse, How to Left This is Destroying America. I always say great stuff for birthday gifts and Christmas, even though Christmas is like 12 months away. But anyway, enough of me talking. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. Get that Rumble Premium, folks. Really, it will help support, Rumble growing, and we want to help them. With that being said, have a lovely week, and we'll be back here at some point. I promise. We're going to do something over the weekend. I don't know what yet, but we will be back. Take care of one another. Have a lovely Friday, folks. A lovely weekend, and I'll see you next time here on The Bald Brad Show. Take care, Patriots.